I'm reading Big World by Winton. After 5 years of high school, the final November arrives and leaves as suddenly as a spring storm. Exams, graduation, huge beach parties. Biggie and me, we're feverish with anticipation. We steel ourselves for a season of pandemonium. But after the initial celebrations, nothing really happens, not even summer itself. Week after week, an endless misting drizzle wafts in from the sea. It beads in our hair and hangs from the tips of our noses while we trudge around town, in the vain hope of scaring up some action. The southern sky presses down and the beaches and bays turn the colour of dirty tin. Somehow our crappy Saturday job at the meatworks becomes full-time, and then Christmas comes, and so do the dreaded exam results. The news is not good. A few of our classmates pack their bags for university and shoot through. Cheryl Button gets into medicine. Dick Lang, the caucus kid, ducks to the school and doesn't even stay for graduation. And suddenly, there we are, Biggie and me, heading to work every morning, in a frigid wind in the January of our new lives, still in jeans and boots and flannel shirts with beanies on our heads and the horizon around our ears. The job mostly consists of hosing blood off the floors. Worms of the stuff go into the harbour and old men sit in dinghies offshore to catch herring in the sleet. Some days I can see me and Biggie out there, as old codgers, anchored to the friggin' place, stuck forever. Our time at the meatworks is supposed to be temporary. We're saving for a car, the V8 Sandman we've been promising ourselves since we were 14. Mag wheels, a lurid spray job, like something off a Yes album, and a filthy great mattress in the back. A chick magnet, that's what we want. Until now we've had a biscuit tin full of 2s and 5s, but now we're making real money. Trouble is, I can't stand it. I just know I won't last long enough to get that car. There's something I've never told Biggie in all the years of our being mates. That I dream of escaping, pissing off north to find some blue sky. Unlike him, I'm not really from here. It's not hosing blood that shits me off. It's Angeles itself. I'm going nuts here. Until now, out of loyalty, I've kept it to myself, but by the beginning of February I'm chipping away at our old fantasies, talking instead about sitting under a mango tree with a cold beer, walking in a shady banana plantation with a girl in a cheesecloth dress. On our long walks home I bang on about cutting our own pineapples and climbing for coconuts. Mate, I say, can't you see yourself rubbing baby oil into a girl's strapless back on Cable Beach? Up north, mate, think north. I know Biggie loves this town and he's committed to sharing the vision of the panel band. But I white-ant him day after day until it starts to pay off. By the last weeks of February, Biggie's starting to come around. He's talking wide-open spaces now, trails to adventure. And I'm like this little urger in his ear. And one grey day he crosses the line. We've been deputised to help pack skins. For 8 hours we stand on the line, fighting slippery chunks of cowhide into boxes so they can be sold as craybait. Our arms are slick with gore and pasty with orange and black beef hairs. The smell isn't good, but that's nothing compared to the feel of all those 7 nostrils and lips and ears between your fingers. I don't make a sound. Don't even stop for lunch. Can't think about it. I'm just glad all those chunks are fresh because at least my hands are warm. Beside me, Biggie's face gets darker and darker, and when the shift horn sounds, he lurches away, his last carton half empty. Fuck it, he says. We're out of here. That afternoon we ditched the Sandman idea and buy a combi from a hippie on the wharf. $200 each. We put in 2 last weeks at the meatworks and collect our pay. We fill the ancient VW with tin food and all our camping junk and rack off without telling a soul. Monday morning everyone thinks we're off to work as usual, but in 10 minutes we're out past the town limits going like hell. We're going the way a 1967 combi will go. Our getaway vehicle is a garden shed on wheels. It's a mad feeling sitting up so high like that with the road flashing under your feet. For a couple of hours we're laughing and pointing and shoving and farting, and then we settle down a bit. We go quiet, just listen to Volkswagen's engine threshing away behind us. I can't believe we've done it. If either of us had led on to anybody these past couple of weeks, we'd never have gone through with it. We'd have hiked for sure. We'd be like all the other poor stranded failures who stayed in Angeles. But now we're on the road. It's time for second thoughts. Nothing said, but I can feel it. The plan is to call from somewhere the other side of Perth where we're out of reach. I want to be safe from the guilt. The old girl will crack a sad on me. But Biggie has bigger things to fear. His old man will beat the shit out of you when he finds out. We can't change our minds now. The longer we drive, the more sky and bush opens up. Now and then Biggie looks at me and leers. He's got a face only a mother could love. One eye's looking at you and the other eye's looking for you. He's kind of pear-shaped, but you'd be a brave bugger calling him a barjaff. The fifth on him. To be honest, he's not really my sort of bloke at all, but somehow he's my best mate. We buzz through hours of good farm country. The big, neat paddocks get browner and drier all the while, and the air feels thick and warm. Biggie drives. He has the habit of punctuating his sentences with jabs on the accelerator, and although the gutless old Volksy doesn't exactly give you whiplash at every flourish, it's enough to give a bloke a headache. We wind through the remnant Jarrah forest, and the sickly-looking regrowth is so rain-parched it almost crackles when you look at it. When Perth comes into view, it's dun plain shimmering with heat and distant towers ablaze with midday sun. We get all nervous and giggly like a pair of gypsy netballers. The big city. We give each other the full Groucho Marx eyebrow routine, but we're not stopping. Biggie's a country boy, through and through. Cities confound him. He can't see the point of them. He honestly wonders how people can live in each other's pockets like that. He's revolted and a little frightened at the thought. Me, I love the city. I'm from there originally. I really thought I'd be moving back this month, but I won't, of course. Not after blowing my exams. I'm glad we're not stopping. It'd be like having your nose rubbed in it. Failure, that is. I can't tell Biggie this, but missing out on uni really stings. When the results came in, I cried my eyes out. I thought about killing myself. To get past Perth, we navigate the blousy strips of car yards and showrooms and crappy subdivisions on the outskirts. Sooner on the other side, into vineyards and horse paddocks with the sky blue as mouthwash ahead. And finally open road. We've reached a world where it isn't bloody raining all the time, where nobody knows us and nobody cares. It's just us and the love machine. We get the giggles. We go off, we blap the horn, we hoot and chuck maps and burger wrappers around the cabin. Two mad southern boys still wearing beanies in March. I'm laughing, I'm kicking the dash. That ache is still there inside me. But this is the best I've felt since the news about the exams. For once I'm not faking it. I look across at Biggie. His huge, unlovely face is creased with merriment. I just know I'll never be able to tell him about the hopes I had for myself. And for a little while I don't care about any of it. I'm almost as happy as him. Biggie's results were even worse than mine. He really fried. But he didn't have his heart set on doing well. He couldn't give a rat's ring. For him, our bombing out is a huge joke. In his head, he's always seen himself as the meatworks or the cannery, until he inherits the salmon netting license from his old man. He's content. He belongs. His outlook drives one another wild with frustration. But in a way, I envy him. My mother calls us Lenny and George. She teaches English. She thinks that's funny. She's trying to wean me off the big boxer. In fact, she's got a program all mapped out to get me back on track, to take the year again and resit the exams, but I've blown all of that off now. Biggie's not the brightest crayon in the box, but he's the most loyal person I know. He's the real deal, and you can't say that about many people. Mother won't chase me out. She's kind of preoccupied. She's in love with the deputy principal. He's married. He uses the school office to sell Amway. Both of them believe that civics should be reintroduced as a compulsory course. We get out into rolling pasture and granite country and then wheatlands where the ground is freshly torn up in the hope of rain. The VW shakes like a boiling billy and we've finally woken up to ourselves and sheepishly dragged our beanies off. The windows are down and the hot wind rips through our hair. Biggie must have secrets. Everyone dreams of things in private. There must be stuff he doesn't tell me. I know about the floggings he and his mum get, but I don't know what he wants deep down. He won't say, but then I don't say either. I never tell him about the skeleton coast in Africa where ships come aground on surf beaches and lie there broken-bellied until the dunes bury them. And the picture I have of myself in a cafe on the Piazza San Marco, leaving a chip so big, the waiter inhales his mustache. Dreams of the big world beyond. Manila, Monterey, places in books. In all these years I've never let on, but then Biggie's never there in the picture with me. In those daydreams he doesn't figure. And maybe I'm guilty about that. After a while we pull over for a leak. The sunlight is creamy up here, standing at the roadside with it roasting my back and arms through the heavy shirt. I don't care that picking guavas and papaya doesn't pay much more than hosing floor off an abattoir. If it's outside in the sun, that's fine by me. We'll be growing things, not killing them. We'll move with the seasons, we'll be free. Mum thinks Biggie's an oaf, that he's holding me back. She doesn't know that without Biggie there'd be nothing left of me to hold back. It sounds weak, but he saved my life. We didn't meet until the second week of high school. I was new in town, and right from the start a kid called Tony Macaulay became fixated on me. He was very short with a rodent's big eyes and narrow teeth. He sat behind me in every class he could and whispered weird threats under the uncomprehending gaze of the teachers, especially my mother. He liked to jab me in the back with the point of his compass and lob spitballs into my hair. He trod on my feet in passing and gleefully broke my pencils. I'd never been a brawler, but I was confident that I could knock him down. Trouble was, my parents were new to the school. This was before the old man pissed off. I didn't want to make trouble. I'd already sensed their mutual misery, and I felt responsible somehow, so I put up with it. I hadn't even spoken to Tony Macaulay. I was shocked by the hatred in his wan little face. I couldn't imagine how I'd put him out so thoroughly. It seemed that my very existence offended him. The little bastard kept at me, but I didn't touch him. After a week, I didn't even react. I wasn't scared. It wasn't passive resistance or anything. I just got all weird and listless. I reckon I was depressed, but the less I responded, the more Tony Macaulay paid out of me. On the second Monday of term, I was shoved into a hedge, tripped in the corridor so that my book sprayed across the linoleum, and I had my fingers slammed in a desk. All of this before morning recess. Each little coup brought out Macaulay's wheezy little laugh. He rocked his body and tilted his head back on his neck so that the whites of his eyes showed. At morning recess I was wiping mud from my pants while he gave in to that convulsive laugh. The wind blew his tie over his left shoulder, and my pulse felt shallow, as though I was only barely alive. As I got wearily back to my feet, a shambling figure passed me, and I saw the flash of a fist. 1 second Tony Macaulay was laughing himself sick, and the next his nose was pointed over his shoulder in the same direction as his wind-blown tie. Blood spurted. Macaulay went down, and I can still hear the sweet melon sound of his head hitting the bar. Macaulay went to the district hospital, and Vicky Boston began 2 weeks suspension. That's how it started. A single decisive act of violence that joined me to Vicky forever. If you believe him on the subject, he acted more out of animal irritation than charity, but I felt like somehow ransomed and set free. Until that moment I was disappearing. School, home, the new town, they were all misery. If Vicky hadn't come along, I don't know what would have become of me. Exam week, 5 years later, wasn't the first time I thought of necking myself. Vicky became my mate, my constant companion, and Tony Macaulay was suddenly landscape. For a while my mother thought Vicky and me were gay. She did a big tolerance routine that dried up when she realised we weren't hoofs. Back on the road again on sinking boab trees and red dirt, girls in sarongs, cold beer, parking the V-dub on some endless beach to sleep. And mangoes. Is there anything sexier than a mango? I suppose we're all wrong for each other, Vicky and me. He's not a very introspective bloke. Sometimes he makes me restless, but we get along pretty well most of the time. We go camping a lot, hike out to all sorts of places, and set up out on our own. Vicky loves all the practical stuff, reading maps, trying the survival techniques, learning bushcraft. I'm more into the birds and plants and stars and things. Some mornings out in the misty ranges, the world looks like it means something. Something simple. Some simple thing, just out of my reach, but there anyway. That's why I go, and both of us dig the fact that nobody else is out there pursing their lips at us or taking a swing. Vicky is truly a funny bugger. He can do Elvis with his belly button, thank you very much, a toothless king sprouting manky black hairs in a face made of fat. He can fart whole sentences for Skilled St. Augustine and mired in others. He's not much for hygiene. His hair's always greasy, and that navel smells like toe jam. He doesn't swim. He couldn't carry a tune in a bucket, but he can find true Northway instinct. On his day, he's a frightening fast bowler, but most days he can't hit the pitch for love or money. He once surfed a school bus 30 miles. He caught 19 herring with the same single green pea and unweighted hook, and he was the only one in the class brave enough to hold the bin for the student teacher while she puked so hard it came down her nose. His sole academic success was his essay on the demise of Led Zeppelin, but then I wrote that for him. Friendship, I suppose, comes at a price. There have been girls I've disqualified myself from because of Vicky. Not everyone wants to have him tagging along everywhere, though in the days before we got our licenses, there are those who don't mind walking out with us to the drive-ins. I figure we're not glamorous, but we're entertaining in our way. Right through high school I have occasional moments, evenings, encounters with girls, but no real girlfriend, and mostly I don't regret it, except for Brian Nevis. For 2 years, we're sort of watching each other